If you have been on the interwebs, you must have heard how Kanye answered this question on an interview when he announced that he was no longer going to continue with his relationship with Gap. And Lawrence, what did Kanye say? What did he say?
I can't quote what he says. I just remember what he said. But hey, he cannot. It's almost like he can't negotiate with broke people. That's what he's trying to say.
That's what he said.
That's what he's trying to get at to people. And I, you know what? I agree with him. This can't be the worry of the world. Like, he's just basically like other people. Like this week, I think the stock market went down based off of the whole inflation numbers coming up at 0.1%. I
was about to say it wasn't even a full, like 0.2%
collapse. And the next thing that you see, which is you typically see that all the time with the news media, and they do it for the clicks, they do it for the banter, is like, oh, billionaires lost $1 billion, whatever, trillions of dollars or something like that this week. And people are in the comment section, they're liking, ha, 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 they lost this money. I'm like, but you lost money too. But you're still poor. Like, and it's not
the
like
money
real
that
money.
They lose.
Yeah, it's not real money.
It's not really that
it's
way.
Market value, and it comes back up again. And they made way more money during the pandemic.
Like if you think about what Jeff Bezos did over the pandemic, he freaking had to say, you know what, I got a divorce.
He got a divorce, lost half his value, and came back up even stronger than that. I don't even know where he's at on the numbers. It doesn't matter.
Jeff is still making the money. He's making the money.
People are laughing, ha ha, look at you, you're divorced. He came back stronger with an even better chick. Like,
whoa. Y'all heard this? Y'all heard what Lawrence said?
And his ex is donating more money off of his back. Everything that she does is off of him. They're like,
it's a circle.
She's such a benevolent soul. It's Bezos money.
She's giving a lot. She's doing so much. What's interesting is like when Kanye said that right before we started recording was that Kanye said what he said unapologetically. Now we're not here to say that we love everything Kanye. I don't know what Kanye got going on in his life, but I will say
I do love everything Kanye.
You love everything Kanye?
I have not turned on him. I've yet to turn on him. I've yet to see what he said in error. People have yet to, like people don't like him. They don't like how he come off, and maybe that's the egregious nature of or the crassness of him per se, but it doesn't mean that he was ever really wrong.
No, it's not even about that. The only thing that I have to like give Kanye like a good asterisk for is that, and this is probably a personal preference, and I understand that I'm not a celebrity, so I don't understand how this goes along, but like the whole thing with Kim, like it felt as if like every time that I was like, I seen anything with Kanye, there was this aggressive chasing after posts like, hey, we're not together anymore. And I was like, well, this is intense. This come across suckery-ish. However, it is media sensationalized, so who knows what's really going on. But one thing I was just like, can we keep this private? Can we just hear about like the ventures and what he's doing on his music? Because one of the things is Kanye's first album, one of the songs that if I'm going through like a tough time and I really want to like push through, I put Through the Wire on. I don't know what, like when I first heard it, what was going on in my life.
Genius level music.
It was genius. This is
not something you get. And I think that's what people don't understand. Genius is always criticized. Maybe before or after their death, when they kind of go through the album and say, you know what, this is amazing stuff. Michael Jackson. Genius level stuff here. He was delivering magnum opus level stuff that people can only aspire to create in one moment.
Yeah, and we still haven't had anybody to kind of revamp. Yeah,
he created multiple albums of just pure greatness. You have these type of people, and they're not going to completely fit in. And I agree with that. I'm okay with that. I understand that for them to kind of do this level of creativity, to push these boundaries, to really outthink, they're going to be in a place by themselves. They're going to be in an island alone.
Class by themselves.
An island alone. And that place is lonely. And every time that you turn, especially as you said, like the media is always around you. They always want to comment. They always want to spin something negative for you. Even when you've made an error, and you're trying to fix it. They won't even allow you to fix it. They won't even allow you to turn around and actually make amends. And they force you into a bubble and they recreate who you are. For example, Chris Brown. Chris Brown had that incident, which I don't agree with. He had that incident, with Rihanna in that car. Beyond that, though, this guy has tried to move away from it, or
I always say that had he not had that, he would have been considered top 10
the
tier.
top 10.
Yes.
If not almost number one. He was almost the I won't say reincarnation, but it's almost a new version of like a Michael Jackson.
Yeah. I always say that. That's something I have that conversation. If Chris did not have that incident, he would be like literally iconic in every generation. He
started having was it the M&Ms or Twix, commercial at one point? That was like right before that. He was getting to that point where everybody in the planet would have known him forever, and they still do to a certain degree.
They still do, but there's the reservedness
at the time. Amazing, and you could tell that this kills the person, right? Because they can't move on from this. You could see who he has become because of it. I can't ultimately judge him for it because I'm not his God. But in the end of the day, I could see how the media pushes people to be this kind of like, a little bit neurotic. Right. And this is why I understand what Kanye West says and whatnot. And I'm not in the corner like, oh, he was wrong for this. He was wrong. Nah, he's showing you through his action that he's evolving as a person. He started off in one instance where he was impoverished, like a lot of us, purely poor. Never had anything, whatever it is, he had to earn his keep. He had to, get some food in the fridge. And eventually he got a lot of money. And there's a point in time where a lot of money changes you. Yeah. A lot of money eventually changes you, quote unquote, makes you more who you are. But in the end of the day, that's a lot of money. I'll probably end up buying a giraffe if I had a lot of money. I don't need a giraffe, but why not? It's like you have Nicolas Cage.
Nicolas Cage, stupid money.
Yeah, Nicolas Cage bought like what dinosaur eggs or massive ostrich eggs or something like that. It was insane. Or Nicolas Cage bought a dinosaur head. Like there's a point in time where you got so much money, it gets weird. Right. Like what's going on with Leonardo DiCaprio? Who knows? It's just a lot of money, a lot of prestige, a lot of fame, a lot of people love you. How can you ever be normal?
It definitely changes you. You can tell from the outside, but I really did like the way he spoke in that interview because he didn't have anything else to add. He said what he said. At the end of the day, what he really said was a lot of times what happens with brands and like celebrities. And Shaq said this before. Shaq said that when he was first starting, he would come to the meeting. They'd be like, hey, Shaq, how are you? And after that, they would just turn to his lawyers or turn to whoever else was there because they kind of like, you don't know what you're doing. And then he said he was going to change that. And he did. Like the stuff that Shaq owns, like the stuff that this man business-wise owns is crazy. And so it's like he had to say, you know what? You're not going to do that to me no more. I'm going to show up here and I'm going to know the information. I'm going to know the terminology. And so he got his education. He went to go and make sure he has, I think Patrick even has like a master's or PhD. Yeah, like he actually went to go learn. Yeah, he went to learn this stuff. It's like, you're not going to be looking at me in this meeting. It's my funds and literally telling me what I need to do with it. And so what he ended up doing was that changed over time. And I think what Kanye was saying is that Gap was literally about to be one of those companies that people were like, who? And because they were associated with Ye, it changed the trajectory and they got what you call entitled, essentially. Like, okay.
They had the social capital. Exactly. To that point.
So then Ye's like, Gap, y'all remember when y'all was first starting? That's not the conversation we were having. And so, no, I'm going to exercise my right to walk away from this table because I know at the end of the day, I can go open up a Yeezy store and outperform you because he has the social clout. You could talk about Kanye as you want, but he literally was in the negative. He's like, within the next couple of years, he capped over $1 billion. He's literally, Yeezys are making hundreds of millions of dollars for you guys.
And they look like trash.
And they look like trash.
Absolute trash.
And guess what? They're still being sold. They're still doing these things. And so Kanye is like, you know what? I understand. And I know we were supposed to talk about the other stuff, but I think this episode is short.
I think this is a good... this conversation is really about what is the new Black capitalism. Exactly. I think that's the conversation that's been had right now. Because even Jay-Z was recently in the media for his statements as well. And it almost echoes what's going on with Kanye, because somebody was trying to tell him to almost humble himself or something like that, or his money won't buy himself access and so on and so forth. And at the end of the day, like he's looking at them like, you can't force me or to humble myself away from wealth. You can't do this anymore. We can't be in a space where we think just because somebody's making money that they owe you anything. They don't owe you anything. They don't bow to you. They don't bow to anyone. They've learned not to bow. And that's what the beauty of what over time that we've seen. And I don't rock with everything Jay-Z. I've never rocked with him from the beginning. Hey, Nas delivered the ether. And ever since then, I was like, man, you got burnt. And I never saw a reaction from that. That's on the personal hip hop side. But on top of that, it just seems like people are trying to force people to be, downtrodden. That's you're black. You're not supposed to have money. You're not supposed to think
and if you do,
you're not supposed to be happy. Yeah, so you're like, you can't do all of this stuff. And it's not only other people saying that, it's ourselves saying that to each other. I've been in spaces where people is like, oh, shut up, financial literacy is not going to save, it's not going to close the wealth gap. I'm like, yeah, it won't. But it's going to close the wealth gap in my family.
Right.
What about yourself?
Because Microsoft Excel is telling me that the network is going up.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't care. I'm like, I get it. It's not going to solve all, it's not going to feed every kid in the world. It's not going to completely eradicate, hunger and poverty. It's not going to do all that stuff, but it's going to help me, get to a point where I'm stable and I could sleep at night. That's what these people are finding out when now that they're traveling. Not first they traveled because it was something brand new. There was excitement to it, and now they're just traveling because they realize this is normal. They're making it normal as heck to go to Saint-Tropez. They're making it normal to just fly to Paris or whatever it is, or even be in the Swiss Alps. They're making it normal for them to just live and breathe. And other people
people have an issue with it. People are taking an issue with this thought process that you can come because it's like, who says no to Gap? Who says no to Apple? Who says no to Adidas? I do, because I have the capital. I have the options to say no. And it's the conversation we were having in the group chat when we were talking about we need to understand what you're worth in the market. You need to understand what you can exercise. And a lot of times, I said this before, at my last job, although I was a woman of quote unquote woman of color in tech, I was the highest paid in my position and my role compared to my peers. And that's because I have results. You're not going to tell me no for a raise. I don't understand how you're going to tell me no when I've proven that not only do I get results and I get them in my sleep. You don't know that I'm probably working half the time, because that's how efficient that I am. I'm still outperforming your top performers. So no, you're not telling me no. And I think my friend is always looking at me when she hears me say oh no, they can't tell me no. And she's like, what do you mean they can't tell you no? I'm like, no, not in this case. In this case, I have all the evidence. I have all the things. And if they're willing to tell me no, then I'm willing to walk off the table. I'm not taking the deal, or I'm going to maneuver how I need to maneuver. And I think that confidence starts to come from when you understand your value. And what Yi is saying, don't get the game twisted. He's right. If a chief brand officer is in the meeting and telling him, no, you're not even the owner of Gap. You get paid by Gap. And you're sitting here telling me something and you don't have ownership. I do. So if I don't want to be at this table because you guys are going back and forth, I'm walking out of this deal and you're lost. And I think that kind of confidence, when we see it, especially people of color, we only see it as, oh, that person's arrogant and they're not humble. And I always tell people, humility is not you crapping on yourself. Humility is an inward thing. Me being stern or me knowing who I am does not take away from the fact that I don't think I don't know how to explain it, but it's especially if you're a believer, people think that humility is this thing where you have to just kind of be poor and put your head down, hey master. And no, that's not what it is. It's very much internal. It's how I am. It's me understand I'm not grounded in my ego. All of those things are what humility is about. It's not me saying yes because I feel like, oh, you know what, I should be thankful for this opportunity. And a lot of us come to the table with that. Oh, I should just be thankful for the opportunity. And you're not looking at opportunity cost. You're not figuring out, should it be this or that? I don't know if you guys know E.T., the hip hop preacher, the guy that speaks, he's really known in the motivational speaking sector.
Yeah, I might have heard of him.
So he was talking recently, on a video clip, and how he used to charge $50,000 per hour speech, right? And he was just like, well, we're doing good, da, da, da. Then this lady pulled him to the side. It was like, yo, bro, you're the highest rated speaker, but you are the least paid. She's like, you're the highest rated amongst all these people, but you're the least paid. And he's like, what are you talking about? He's like, you're not charging enough. So he was just like talking to other people. It's like, oh, but you're making $50,000 per hour, bro. Like, why do you need to do the extra? He's like, no, if my market value is this XYZ, I'm going to go ahead. So the next time he got a request, he put $75,000 and the people said, yep, no problem. And he's like, wait a minute. They didn't even argue with me. They didn't go back and forth. They didn't say, well, when did the prices increase? They were like, no problem. So after that, you know what he did? He upped it to $100,000 and he's been getting at that rate. He was literally making 50% less because he was just like, well, I'm satisfied. Like who is in my neighborhood that came from my neighborhood that could say that they made $50,000 per hour? And then there's also another level because he was actually grossly undercharging. So can you imagine coming to the table, going back to your hood and you say you make $50,000 an hour and you need to make 100,000? You know what? Everybody was going to say that. You're not humble. You're ungrateful. But he was still undercharging because of the market. And as you go up in the market, the rules change, the game change. However, a lot of us are stuck because we feel like, well, I should just be happy. And sometimes I struggle with that. I should be happy for the distance that I've made. And I'm like, what distance, lovely? Do you know how much more there is to conquer? Do you know how much more there is to do? Because if you want to rebound, let's say you've lost 5 generations to poverty. If you want to rebound another 5, you think this you walking 2 extra miles is enough? You might need to do 100 more to get to that place. And we're at our prime. So why not? I don't want to be 85 like my patients when I used to do hospice care that are telling me they regretted because they didn't go after their dreams. They regret because they didn't go out and kiss that girl that they love or that guy. These crazy things of like is in your mind of what you didn't do because other people around you are saying to play small. No, just because you don't want to play the game, don't clock me out because you don't have my tag to do that. I'm willing to play the game. I'm willing to go more. And we need to be okay with the fact that, like somebody said, oh, I don't see a lot of women that are, rich do this. And I'm like, I'm tired of you guys saying what rich people do and you don't even be around them. You don't even know how they live. It's a theory that you've made up from somebody else.
It'd be wild. It's like, just Jeff Bezos does this, that, and the third. I don't want Jeff Bezos' money. I don't care for it. I'm going to turn it on its head and just say this. Like for me to walk into a castle in Canada, to waltz in there and the person they look and they measure you, because obviously they haven't seen a lot of Black people come through here, so they're surprised that you whipping out the cash for them. Like it is okay. It's not like you're surprised at them, you're not shocked at them, you're demanding your space and you're just confident. I think there's something to be said about that conversation between how people perceive humbleness or humility or even like this passiveness. Oh, the meek shall inherit the earth. I'm like, I don't get it. I don't understand it. And I'm happy to not have fallen for that trap. I'm still working on me, like you're working on you. And I'm sure that the rest of the audience is also working on themselves, but there is more to see and more to come. Do not limit yourself to whatever it is that's happening today, because years from now, they're going to remember Kanye West's name. They might call him Ye, they might call him something. Years from now, they're going to remember Barack Obama's name because he cemented a legacy. Years from now, they're going to remember Oprah Winfrey. Years from now, they're going to remember Whoopi Goldberg. They're going to remember these people because they cemented a legacy. And whereas other people saw, humility, or hey, don't speak up, sit in the background, don't really, don't ruffle any feathers. But you find these people that have been successful. Why? Because they actually spoke up. They actually did something. Somebody like LeBron James actually did something. So we got to get to the point where we're changing the conversation about wealth, about our own, not just the external wealth and the dollar value, but also what's going on within ourselves. Like we have to look at ourselves as being worthy. And to me, that's the biggest aspect of wealth.
Yeah, because it's something that's so powerfully not talked about, because you can literally be making more, even increase your wealth. But if you still have that poverty mindset, it will drain you. And people don't understand there's a psychology to how we see money. There's a psychology of how we see wealth. And at the end of the day, that a lot of the times it's not the spreadsheet that's the problem. It's not the budget that's the problem, because there's a mindset shift that has to go through when you want a budget and you understand what it means. And I think recently you post, I don't know, maybe sometime in the last 2 weeks, where you were saying you're laughing at people that think that you and your wife don't spend money. It's just that you don't just spend it on stuff that you don't want to spend it on. So I think you said you spent like $23,000 on travel this year. I think that was the number.
21,000 so far.
21,000 so far.
It might end up being 25. Oh,
shoot. It might be 25. So 25 grand on traveling and having these experiences, but that might mean that I'm not brunching every week. That might mean I'm not buying a Birkin bag, or is it Birkin bag or Birkin card? You see, that's how much I don't even know.
There's a new thing too. There's the one with the T. It's a bag with a T on it. That
the Teflon. I know what you're talking about, because they have. I follow like a direct consumer brand report thing, and they were part of it as well. So all of these things, you may not get them, but your dollar signs go towards travel because that's what you guys enjoy as a family. And that is exactly what about building. Ramit City said this all the time, like building your rich life. It is not about doing things to outwardly say that I have wealth, but it's really actually doing things that are going to excite you. And that's talking about saying no. Ramit always says, like, stop having $3 questions. Start having $30,000 questions. $3 questions, well, let me stop going to get lattes. But it might just be like, well, how much money do I need to increase in putting in my 401k? Like, you need to start asking the $30,000 questions, because sometimes we're skipping out on, your favorite coffee when you really need to be looking at something completely else in your budget item that needs to really shift. So priorities, boundaries with your money, but all of that starts in your brain of how you perceive wealth. It starts with your brain of how you see people, because I'm watching the moment that somebody starts to have some level of change financially, I'm watching how people comment on them. Somebody told me this one time, and the response might be cast, but I said it. I'm a confess. I said it. They said it must be nice, and I said it is. Period. Because it is. You're not gonna
wait. Ooh, damn! It must be nice. That's how they say it. It must be nice.
Yep. And I said it is, and
that's actually Fort Lauderdale. Like, I've heard for Fort Lauderdale, it must be nice. I'm like, okay,
Florida.
Yeah,
like, Florida. Maybe it is. I remember like Fort Lauderdale girls would say it all the time.
Yeah, and I was like, it is. Like, it must be nice you have somebody to support you. It is. It must be nice that you can drive that car. It is. It must be nice that you can go to Portugal next year. It is. It must be nice that you can travel all the time. It is nice. That's the whole point. It's supposed to feel good. And I think, like, sometimes those backhanded comments, and instead of saying, hey, what you achieved sounds pretty cool, how did you do it? Because that's what you really want to know. But coming in that approach does not leave the other person desiring to even turn back and have the conversation with you, because you're making it seem like it's whatever. But I remember not being able to afford an $8.88 shoe and going into the store and being negative $35 in my account and needing shoes. So not today that you're going to, you got so much shoes. You got so much things. And I'm like, I'm not even like a person that buys things all the time, number one. I'm really thinking about long-term stuff. I'm really thinking about building businesses and other things. But even if you see me enjoying something or getting to a place that I'm shifting my life, either close your eyes or watch and just keep your thoughts to yourself, because I got answers. I got responses. Before, I would have been like, nah, let me not say that. I don't know what the person's going through. Well, guess what? You don't know what I'm going through, and you coming with me with that heat. So stop it.
Ooh, okay. All right. We're going to end this episode. It's got real dark. Lovely got really, when Lovely goes dark like this, we got to pull back. Alana's not here to just kind of slow her down. You're in the background, Alana. You're not telling her, like, slow down, because she out here trying to cause.
No, I'm just listening. You know how Lovely gets. I'm just listening.
I'm just saying.
I'm proud of what Kanye West said. She made it seem like she wasn't. Now she out here throwing out heat. Am I corrupting you?
No, she said, "Bring that smoke. I got something for you."
True.
It must be nice. Yes, it is.
It is. Because I'm like, if you're mad now, are you gonna if you're mad today, what are you gonna be mad about in 10 years? It's about to be nasty.
Oh, shoot. Damn. Like, okay. All right. Hey, guys, thank you for listening to the Financial Griot. We always come up here to have a good conversation overall about personal finances, stories, wealth, or even things that we see in the media. Because in the end of the day, this is how we kind of start changing our mindset and changing the way that we do things, so we can actually build about better communities and better countries. I think, Lovely went dark. So my name is Lawrence Delva Gonzalez. You can catch me on the interwebs at the Neighborhood Finance Guy. And Nice. I'll pass it on. It got mad quiet.
I thought Lo was going to say something. Thank you guys for tuning in to another great episode of TFG. My name is Alanta. You can find me on interwebs at Alanta_Elsa.
Hey everyone, it's Lovely. You can find me at Lovely Mardellis on LinkedIn. Anywhere, just Google my name and my LinkedIn will show up. I'm on Instagram too and TikTok, but those are occasional updates. Thank you for listening to the Financial Griot podcast, powered by the Wealth Builders Collective.